Hello everybody and welcome to this JavaScript programming tutorial. My name is George and today we're going to learn how to use some variables in JavaScript. So the first thing that we're going to do is to learn how to declare variables in JavaScript, and this means that we're going to create a variable where we can store data that can be numbers, that can be strings, or boolean values like true or false or whatever. So what we are going to do is just write this word over here, var, and that means variable, and then we can write the name of your variable. For example, I can write first variable and end with a semicolon, and that means that you already declared your very first variable in JavaScript. And there are some rules for the name that your variable should have. For example, they can start only with underscores or a letter, and you can include even numbers if you like, but I just prefer to use letters only, and maybe underscores sometimes, but that's pretty much the only rule that you need to create a variable. For creating a variable with and declaring its name, just start it with a letter or an underscore, and even after you can use numbers if you like, but it is not necessary. So now that we have our first variable, we can assign uh, any value to it. For example, just type in the name of your variable and write equals and just write 10, and that means that this variable that you declare over here, now it has a value of 10. And how can you use that? Well, you can write a function, for example alert function, and you can say over here, hey, this var has a, and you can put a plus sign over here and just write first variable, and I will explain this in a little bit, just hold on, and type in value. So let's just save this program, and we can go over here to our browser and let's reload, and we get this message. So just look at this. It says, hey, this var has a 10 value. So what exactly has this code done over here? So as you can see, this alert function just says, hey, this var has a, and then we close up the quote marks over here, and we added a plus sign that it means that the text that we're going to show up over here is going to be this text plus this variable that can be any value. It can be 10, it can be 11, it can be 12, it can be -5, whatever. And after that we're going to put some another more of a string value like value, and that's exactly how we use variables. Mostly we can use them to for example, showing dynamic data, so that it is always changing. It not necessarily has to be 10, it can be another value. So that's why we use variables, because it is always changing. So let's just save this program. Let's change the value for -5 and then save this program and reload again, and you will see that this value of the variable has changed once more. So now it is in 10, but it is -5. So this is how we mostly use variables, and you can also write some text over here. We can write unknown variable, for example, and just save again, reload, and you can see that this message says, hey, this var has an unknown variable. So it is very interesting how these things work. So this is how we declare variables, and we can always change their values. For example, if at this time when we use the alert function this variable has this value, we can also write it again. For example, over here let's just say that our first variable now equals 5. And this is very interesting because in JavaScript, in other programming languages, if you have a variable that has a string value, you just can't change it to a number just like that. But here in JavaScript we can, and that is really interesting in this language. So let's just save again and reload this page, and the first message says, hey, this bar has an unknown value, and then it shows another message that says, hey, this bar has a 5 value. So that is really interesting. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. Another thing is that bar is not really a requirement for declaring variables. You can just declare them just like that. I don't really recommend that, but that works. As you can see, the program works fine, but I really recommend to use the bar statement. Just use it because it is more organized and it is really more reliable than don't using it. So I really recommend that. So thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time. So bye bye.